Hello and welcome to the Business Standard Banking Show. Payments banks are those entities that generates revenues from remittances, from providing business correspondent services, cash management services, among others. Payment banks are not allowed to lend. According to RBI data, of the six payment banks which are operational, only three were profitable as on end March 2022. Today we have Anubrata Biswas, the MD and CEO, Airtel Payments Bank, to discuss the bank's future growth plans. Mr. Biswas, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Uh, to start with, how has been the year FY23 for the Airtel Payments Bank? If you can give a sense of that.
Look, for us, revenues have been growing at a CAGR of over 40% over the last 3-4 years. We ended the year with a tad short of 1,300 crores. That's over a 40% growth over the previous year. The bank's been profitable for 2 years, and we are seeing very rapid growth in our core propositions. So, Manojit, just to start and comment maybe quickly on the introduction to payments banks which you made, I would say that payment banks have evolved into slightly different models. You see 3-4 largely operational payment banks. But I'll talk a little bit about our model to answer fully your question.
Yes.
First is we have three strong propositions. One proposition we have is a deep rural proposition where large number of rural consumers are onboarded by our banking network, and they broadly use our accounts for access services, which are cash withdrawal services primarily.
Correct.
This is large. We have over 20 million users of our platforms in this business, and this is rapidly growing. So the reason why I don't want to talk about a product market like remittances is because ultimately a payment bank model is linked to a number of users using its services from which you get revenue.
Correct.
So the second proposition we have is a digital proposition. We have seen that the payment bank account is used as a secondary bank account by urban consumers who are concerned about safety and want to keep a secondary bank account.
Okay.
This is very rapidly growing. Again, we are the fastest growing digital bank in the country today. Deposits are growing in excess of 60 to 70% year on year.
Right.
A large number of customers actually onboarding themselves in urban areas as well. The third proposition is a B2B proposition, which, as you mentioned, is cash management services. But our thought process is that we want to offer consumers, B2B consumers, a full set of offline and online digital collection services. So if you really step back, Manojit, you have a model which is multi-segment. You have a model which is both India and Bharat, and you have a model which is both cash and digital. So the simple way to look at it is I just view payment banks to be India's new age digital banks.
I think in FY22, Airtel Payments Bank made a profit. Do you think FY23 was also a profitable year?
Look, we doubled our profits. Actually, we more than doubled. So just to put it in context, we grew by over 130, 140% on profits. Profitability, as you know, Manojit, is a function of two things. One is the business model fundamentally sustainable? And second is how much of investments you want to continue to do to keep growing the business. In terms of the first point, the payment bank model is a very sustainable model because it is built on scale, using technology to deliver low-cost services, and the ability to onboard large numbers of customers because of the India stack.
Right.
This is unique in the world, and therefore we believe that payment banks can fundamentally serve very large number of customers all across India.
It is heartening to hear that you are saying payment bank model is a sustainable model, because there were hiccups to the payment banks. Many of them got licenses, some of them didn't opt to operate, and now even if only 6 are operating, only 3 are profitable.
Yeah, no, so this is actually just a simple analysis of scale. In order to build scale, one needs to onboard large numbers of users.
Right.
And one has to onboard large numbers of users, you will have slightly larger upfront costs. So payment bank model by design would break even over a decently long period of time, let us say 3 to 4 years. In fact, for Airtel Payment Bank, we set up operations in 2017 and
Right.
we broke even in the financial year 21-22. So it's been a 5-year journey.
5 years. Yeah.
Manojit, it could have been easily faster or shorter, but we chose to keep investing, which is the second point I am making, that this model we fundamentally believe is meant to serve 500 million consumers at scale.
Can you
Today,
give us
Airtel,
can you give us an idea of what kind of customer base you have and what is the
today Airtel
medium-term
Payment
growth plan?
Banks, yeah, today Airtel Payment Bank serves around 55 million consumers every month across a wide range of platforms on these businesses which I just talked about. The
Right.
urban business, the rural business, and the B2B business. So this 55, of course, is based in the insight that there are 500 million consumers who can upgrade themselves to better digital services or indeed upgrade themselves on the path to financial inclusion. And therefore, payment bank model should grow and keep growing.
What is the medium-term roadmap to increase the customer base?
See, first is the proposition, Manojit. The proposition is very compelling. In rural areas, the proposition is really about access. As you know, 300 million people in rural India have a bank branch, which is
Right.
roughly 11 kilometers away. Airtel Payment Bank is closer to them. Airtel Payments Bank serves today 1 in 5 villages in the country. The second proposition is that of convenience and safety. And that in India today, with the heightened volume of digital payments, will continue to be there in the near term. In fact, if you really look at it, there is give or take around 500 million smartphones in India, but
Right.
250 million digital payment users monthly.
Right.
Which means give or take another 200 to 250 million people on top of the 300 million people who can upgrade themselves to digital payments in a simple and effective manner.
Right.
That really carves out the medium term path for the bank, which is the proposition now that it is established will continue to grow. And consequently, we would dare to say that revenues and the revenue mix will also expand and diversify further.
So, which is the strongest revenue generating area for Airtel Payments Bank?
See, Manojit, if you really look at it, roughly 4 years back, payments and revenue from payments was over 90% of total revenue of the payment bank. Today, revenue from payments is less than 70%. Revenue from fee income,
Right.
cross sell, service fees, fees from plans is over 20%. And the rest of the revenue is really revenue from deposits, which is that the consumer keeps money with us and we are able to reinvest that in government securities.
Correct.
So you see that the model is rapidly diversifying. And as one gains scale and users start using you more, the revenue mix will also diversify. And the simple model finally, and it is different from a banking model, but maybe closer to a telecom model, but I find it easier to explain. See, today we earn somewhere slightly north of 20 rupees per user per month. The thought process is that 50 million users can be 100 million users and 20 rupees can be 30 rupees simply because your revenue model is diversifying.
So, in the mix, you expect the fees to have a higher share in the mix going ahead, or you think the deposits which will be gaining more traction?
I would say both will grow. The exact mix between fee and deposits is difficult to predict because what we are seeing today is that as consumers become more comfortable, their ability to keep more money with us is actually increasing exponentially. So it's very difficult to predict how the 2 years or the next 3 years will play out. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that revenue from payments would go down further and revenue from deposits and fee would go up further.
So, let me also ask you Now there is a window for Payments Bank to convert into a small finance bank. Is that an option for you?
See, firstly, specifically for Airtel Payments Bank, that option, as you know, is not available because our promoter is a large corporate house and this option is not available there. Having said that, our firm belief is that given that the payments bank industry serves today over 100 million customers, in fact, possibly 150 million customers monthly, we do believe that India's financial inclusion needs would be served very deeply and strongly if payment banks themselves were allowed to micro lend, let us say, to an amount of 2 lakhs. This, of course, will need all stakeholders in the ecosystem to believe in it, to sign it. But if this is done, there is nothing differentiating a payment bank from a world-class digital bank globally.
Right.
And indeed be an effective vehicle for India's inclusion needs.
So you're essentially saying that the regulator should allow payments banks to lend, at least small ticket loans.
Prudently, just allow micro loans of 2 lakhs to individuals, which actually addresses all the conduct risk issues, all the governance issues, which naturally the entire ecosystem is concerned about.
There were some recent reports that Airtel Payments Bank was getting merged with Paytm Payment Banks. What could be the rationale behind such a thinking?
So that's all market speculation. We don't comment on it at all.
Okay, you don't want to comment on that. You think
No,
it's
people will speculate whatever they have to.
okay, okay. Airtel Payment Bank has also launched a physical debit card sometime back recently, I think. Has that resulted in increasing number of transactions to the extent that was expected?
We are seeing very decent growth in that particular line. I'll tell you a little bit of the thought process behind it. Originally, our intent when the payment bank was launched was that it be a fully virtual account without any physical element to it. What we have opened up right now is the ability for a customer to order a debit card online through the mobile banking app. You know that I've mentioned in the mobile banking section of India, we are actually a very large number of monthly transacting user base app. So we have allowed that ability to order a physical debit card, which is delivered to the consumer's home. But the real scale will happen when our banking network, actually we have the largest banking network in India of business correspondents. We have over 350,000 monthly active banking points. The real scale of debit cards will happen when some of those points will be allowed to stock debit cards and offer them to consumers during account opening or just for pure application.
Right.
That we expect to get done by the next quarter.
Is there a plan to list the company and whether to get strategic investors even before the listing?
So Manojit, this is fairly public news. I think many members, including our chairperson, has made it clear that the company will list. The time, of course, can't be commented on because of various factors, as you know, which goes into the mix. But clearly, before listing, the intent of the board would be to get in maybe a couple of rounds of strategic investors, which has many advantages, including diversification of shareholding, discovery of price, etc., etc.
Right. On that note, Mr. Biswas, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for speaking to Business Standard.
Thank you, Manojit. Delighted to be here. And once again, thank you for inviting me.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
I am the blue of the limitless sky. I am the inspiration that lets success soar high. I will achieve, I will fly high. I am the I in SBI.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.